Hello, everybody. We are live here for Tuesday Talks. Now, Tuesday Talks is all about getting to know an individual from an industry to find out what makes them tick, what do they care about, how their career reflects that, and what motivates them to keep going. So today we have an amazing person called Sandrian Nelson-Moon. She's an ambassador, author, life and business coach. She's helping you to tell your story. She's a best-selling author, speaker, coach, focused on restoration and upliftment. Hi, Sandrian. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I am great. Thank you very much for coming on to Tuesday Talks. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. You are
I've done,
welcome.
I have done a short introduction for you already, but you're
Mm.
the best person to expand onto that and let everybody know who you are, what you do, and the biggest question that everybody has on their mind, is why do you
hmm
do it?
uh, well, I'm sorry. It looks like my thing here is moving. Um, okay, so my name is Dr. Sandrian Nelson-Moon. That's a short version of my name. Um, it is originally, including the titles. I don't like to do this, but it is going to break down who I am, what I do. Her Excellency Ambassador Reverend Dr. Sandrian Nelson-Moon. That's my name in long.
Oh, wow.
So I am a Global Peace Ambassador with the United Nations. I am an international chaplain. I am a minister of the gospel. I am a entrepreneur, which means I am an author who is also a CEO of her own organization that is a conglomerate of different companies, between publishing to editing, writing. I'm a licensed business and life coach, licensed to counsel women on trauma, trauma informed care. So I have a couple of hats in a couple of different places, um, and a future attorney. So I do what I do because of my own story, my own experience. And my whole thing was allowing, excuse my voice, I was at a conference all weekend, so my voice is gone. But I started all of the things that I'm doing because I wanted to create change. Well, a lot of times people say they want something to change and they don't necessarily have a hand in it.
Mm.
I'm a complete opposite of that. I do work with and have been in, doing a lot of work within a lot of nonprofit organizations, from diabetes to global, global efforts from hunger. Right now we have with the UN coming up something in November. We're going against domestic violence. That's the month of October,
Mm.
actually, but we're going to focus on, we have what's called 16 days, um, you know, against global domestic violence and other things. There's so many different things we work on, from education to, traumas, rapes, feeding the homeless. I mean, we go into so many different areas. And I do this because I'm from the Caribbean, born and raised there. And I've seen poverty in a place that people think what they see sometimes here in the US as poverty, not necessarily. It's hard, but I've seen where people truly are in such a bad state. So wanting to create the change is kind of where I even jumped on a lot of these things. And like I said, I've been volunteering and doing a lot of work in nonprofit for so long, over 15 or 20 years almost. So there's so many different things that we could do. And
Mm.
for me, like I said, my story kind of fueled the fire, if you will. I'm a victim of, well, I'm not going to say I'm a victim anymore, but I'm a survivor from molestation, rape, abduction, which is crazy when people hear me say I've been abducted and returned. It's not something a lot of people can say, you know. They've been abducted at gunpoint, raped, brutally, abused, and then they were able to live again. To talk about it, not necessarily something. So for me, going through my own traumas, I decided, you know what? No one was there for me when I went through mine, right? Even through the legal process, even through the police, after I went and sat with them, after you do the rape kit, after you do all those things, no one comes back. No one deals with the victim's pains. No one tells you, here, get a therapist. No one, it's the culture in itself that I was raised in. So for me, it's this silent thing when it comes to stuff like that. Real silent place for a lot of families. Oh, just, not talk about it anymore. It's going to go away. It never does. It never does. So for me, it became a spiral of a lot of things. I attempted suicide maybe 5 times.
Wow.
Within the years, my relationships, my first marriage was horrible. There was things that happened. So for me, wanting to change that narrative of being the victim who never comes out of it is the whole idea. There is an opportunity to come out. There is a way to heal. There is a way to move forward. You want to become that millionaire? Yes, you can. You want to become, that amazing career woman or career man? Yes, you still can. The perception that you can't survive these things or you can't outlive it, you've gone through it, but you can outlive it because there is a way to come back from it. So that is kind of what my organization is built around. That is what everything I do is around. I focus on allowing people to see that there is still purpose after their pain. There is still so much more left in them. And what I always say is what you see right now, a lot of times we walk around and people seem like empty shells. They're there, but they're not there. They're still there. If you clean off all of those things that they've gone through, I think for us, I call it the muddy walk. Like you step into mud and you're sitting there and it's just all over. And in front, you put this face on, like great makeup, doesn't look like something's going on back there, but it is. It's cleaning up those things and realizing and helping others to see you're still there. You're still there. What's happening is you've buried yourself behind the things that you've encountered. And you don't feel like you can come out of it, but you can come out of it, with the right resources, the right opportunities, the right people in your corner to kind of guide you in that direction. You are able still to come out of it. So that is what I do. And I try to encourage everybody I come across. I don't care. And in all honesty, Zaishan, and when I tell you, everybody goes through something. You don't have to be the one who got raped. You don't have to be the one like myself who was abducted and taken away and held for hours as captive. You don't have to be the one that, you didn't grow up with your parents. There's so many different things that can happen to people. Rejection, self-esteem, all of these things kind of tie in. So it doesn't matter what it is that you're battling with, the ability for you to come out of it is still there. So, and I think at the end of the day, everybody has something they got to deal with. Everybody has something they got to get over, and a lot of times these are things that continue through generations. So for me, I'm at a place where, okay, whatever happened with me stops with me. You see what I'm saying?
I love that. Yeah.
Exactly. Whatever happened with me stops with me. It doesn't go to my children. It doesn't go to my grandchildren. You cut it off at the root. And at the end of the day, I may not be able to find the complete root, but when it came over to me, that means there's some kind of root sitting there. I need to chop it off, right? So I can be free to do what God has given me to do. So that is how I kind of live my life. And I want to give people that kind of peace. It took me years to get to this peace. It took me years to look in the mirror and say, listen, it was not your fault. You didn't do nothing. You didn't tell him to touch you. You didn't ask to be kidnapped and raped and then left on the side of a street somewhere. You didn't ask to do those things. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times we get so caught up in what we carry. The baggage just sits there and we park it. And a lot of us will tell ourselves, oh, we've dealt with it. But when we have relationships, we have all kinds of problems and we don't know why we have these problems, forgetting that we never dealt with the things that we carried, our insecurities, Every one of these things we got to be able to deal with, and we got to be honest with ourselves. You know, I have mental illness in my family that I deal with. My sister is mentally ill. My nephew has the issue of schizophrenia. It's real, you know, and the ability to have people see themselves still in beauty, even while muddy, is kind of my mantra. Everything I do, you can. You know, I told you we talked about the I Can experience and the I Can initiative. That is kind of what I push, and it is what I try to encourage people about. This is where I travel and speak on, and, you know, trying to encourage them. There's still a voice there. There's still somebody there. You know, you're not dead. It's not over. You're just in a situation, you know, and that's
I really
basically
love
what
that.
it is. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
basically what it is.
I really love that, and thank you very much for sharing this you know, amazing journey of yours in terms of
Hmm.
and being the vulnerability as well. You know, you share it up here, um, and as you mentioned, a lot of people don't like to be that vulnerable person when sharing these stories
Yeah.
and everything, right? And as you said, everybody will have some sort of trauma, some sort of
Hmm.
problem, some sort of issue, some sort of challenge. We all have it, right? We will all have some sort of trauma that we have with us. Now, how do you overcome it is where the superpower lies. I mean, someone's commented already, you know, your story is your superpower. So that's
Hmm.
and that's what it is. And you've taken that and you're like, okay, yeah, you know what? I've come on to the other side. I've crossed the bridge, but I'm going to now help people like myself or more and more,
Exactly.
you know, people like myself and more who are maybe in a similar journey or are challenged or not sure what to do, and they want to actually fix this and get, you know, when you say you want to get over it with it,
Hmm.
it's more a case of um, sharing yourself and pivoting yourself and
Out of it.
putting that,
Yeah.
yeah, putting that energy to where you can now succeed, right? So
Hmm.
change yourself. And I love that you shared as well, because a lot of people think when something's bad has happened to them, right, they've gone to this life-changing trauma or anything very traumatic negative effects, you need to just shut down. Nothing's going to work for you now. Nothing's going to help. No one's going to help you now. I think in the right places the help is there, but as you said, you know, it's just not available
It's
unless,
information. It's
yeah,
information. I think
exactly.
it's a that's the killer with a lot of us, and it's a killer with society in itself. I mean, and it's also a killer in our culture. To be honest with you, there's a lot of things. You know, listen. I was told when I wrote my book, "Why are you talking about these things?" You know, I remember saying to the person, "Let me tell you something. I carried this for years. It started when I was 9."
Hmm.
And I piled things on. When that happened, and then the other thing happened, it took everything from me. I was a walking dead person
Hmm.
with so much that I carried. I was so angry. There were so many things, right? The resource is there. Today, it's not like then. You know, I tell people therapy is not a death sentence. You know, a lot of people think it is. It's not a death sentence. Because in all honesty, you can talk to your mom, you can talk to anybody you want to talk to. But a lot of times, if they're not trained to help you to emotionally recognize some of the things that you are doing, you're not going to be able to see. You can talk about it sometimes, but sometimes, honestly, I was having this conversation with a woman of God earlier that I know. Your mind will bury that thing so deep sometimes. You think it's done for, but it's not. Because if you see and come across anything, be it a trigger or anything else, instantaneously you're starting to behave a certain way, and you thought, well, I was fine. No, you're not fine. You know,
Yeah.
subconsciously you're not. So there's so many things therapy helps with, and I tell people, I will always say it, without therapy and, you know, kind of finding myself in a space where I allowed also God to help me get to that space of recognizing I needed to change something. It's kind of like what they tell you with AAA.
Hmm.
Listen, your first step is what? Acknowledge this thing happened. Most of the time, some of us, we know it and we bury this thing. Oh, I got to keep it. I can't say nothing. But see, burying it is burying you. You're not dealing with anything. You're just parking it in a corner. And the thing is,
100%.
and you think you're not going to have to visit that corner one day, you're going to have to visit that corner. And matter of fact, the corner shows itself up in little increments of your life and your behavior, and you don't even see it. You have grown people, and I've seen grown people go get upset, get emotional, and become children at the same time. Because they're walking around with things that they've been carrying for years, never dealt with it. Their insecurities are so crazy. You wonder. These are things that are things they never dealt with, things they never talked about. And a lot of us go around, we don't talk about so many different things. Mental health is a huge one, you know, but it's not something we can bury anymore. You got children jumping off buildings out here because of their mental illness. You got people stabbing people's children and killing them. It is a serious situation at this point. So for me, it's about allowing people to get the information that is around, helping them figure out and realize, yes, you have an issue. Yes, you may have gone through something, but there is always a way to come out of it. There's a way to come out. And that is basically what I do. So
So here's the question that comes to my mind now is, you know, when all these happen and the years were coming on, what was your pivotal moment where you just decided, you know what, I am gonna change this. This is it, you know. And we will talk about after that. We will talk about, you know, your I Can initiative and all that stuff. I'm sure because all that has led to this the initiative there. So what was that pivotal moment? And plus, if you can share the mindset that was needed behind it, right? Because a lot of people you mentioned about mental health and everything are challenged by that. Taking that step.
Our focus and our mindset. Yep. You got to want this change. You got to want the change. Let me tell you. And I'm at a place for me where I have nothing that I can't talk about. And that alone was refreshing when it happened for me initially. I'm going to go back. And this is what happened with me. I was in college. And I went to Lehman College in the Bronx. And I was living in Queens, New York at the time with my mom. I was, you know, young girl in my early 20s, 21, somewhere there, 22. My abduction and rape happened at 16, right? I attempted suicide the night I came back from the police station. And like I said, I went into this turmoil after. Came here, went to high school, wouldn't allow people around me, wouldn't want to, you know, interact with family members. If you were a guy, you couldn't hug me, touch me, anything. It was really bad. And in college, you know, you're in your 20s. Your hormones move, you know, you like guys, stuff like that. You can't, those things still remain to a certain degree. And I decided, I said, you know what, maybe if I think it was 18 or 19. I said, maybe if I try enjoying dating somebody, maybe then, you know, I buried that thing and I pushed it in the corner, go, maybe I'm going to, you know, try to explore and live my life like nothing happened, you know. I was talking to someone, my 21, and I decided for the first time to try to have an encounter with a person. I like the guy. And at 16 is how I lost my virginity. That's how I lost it. But at 21, I said, okay, I couldn't for a while. And I, you know, I kind of left dating and anything alone. And I got to college, liked somebody, and I said, let me try. We had an encounter with each other, and I went home. And the whole time I relived my rape.
Wow.
And when I relived it, it scared the life out of me. I went home. I couldn't, you know, my mind was in a certain place, and I started to convolute. You know how a drug addict convolutes, just losing it?
Yeah.
I was in that space again, as if I was there back at 16. And I got home and I attempted suicide again.
Oh, wow.
because I couldn't get it off my head, and I couldn't get the feeling that I was carrying. And I felt like my skin was crawling. You know how you watch these weird movies with these really crazy creatures, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
was
Yes.
right. I was scratching. I was as if I was an addict. And I sat there, and when I went to take the knife to do it, I guess God just wouldn't allow me to do it. And I got to a space where I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I realized I didn't bury it. It wasn't gone. I never dealt with it. And now it affected, I mean, I would talk to people, this is before this guy, I would talk to people and just disappear. They would never, if I like you, I disappear. You couldn't, people would call me, why you stop talking to me? I just can't. I just
Mm-hmm.
couldn't. It affected every ounce of me. So I just got tired. I got real tired. And a lot of times it's like when, you know, people talk about women who've been, or men who are in domestic situations,
Mm-hmm.
you get tired. You get tired at some point. But in all honesty, you got to want the change to happen. And I started seeking help. And when I started seeking help is when I started to, and I tell people this, you know, healing is continual. It's not something that happens overnight.
Definitely.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's continual. And when you're healing, you got to understand you're going to have to face the thing that you don't want to face. You're going to have to dig into those feelings that you don't want to dig up. For you to come through it, you got to face it. You know, you got to face it completely. And you got to face it willing to get over it, willing to want the thing to change and move out of your way. But you have the ability to do that. But therapy was a huge part for me. You know, loving myself was another step. I had to admit this thing wasn't my fault. I had to admit it happened to me. I had to swallow that and then say, okay, now how do I go from point A to point B and take the steps with my therapist and kind of find that space, find myself again. One of the other things that I did was found, you know, the things that I enjoyed, you know, something that I was passionate about, I wanted to do. You know, sometimes just to get my mind off the process. The process is never easy because you're going to go through the days where you go back, you know, you still feel like, oh my God, this is torture. But you're going to have to go through each of those days. It's a process. That's why I said it's continual, regardless. Because sometimes you can easily go back to, you know what I'm saying, those feelings. You can go back to those things. It's not so. It's not a quick turnaround. It's a process to go. And I implore anybody, once you begin the process, complete it. And every time you go through something, and every time as you're taking your power back, you start to see yourself again. You start to see who you were before it happened. You start to find your strength again. You start to find, you know, who you really are behind those things. You know, and I think for a lot of us who go through any kind of trauma or people who feel they can't do something, their self-esteem is shot. They start to question their abilities. It's not that you can't do something. You know, sometimes we get into certain habits and we just don't know how to come out of them because we created them and they become a part of our day to day.
Definitely.
You know, they tell you what is it? 15 days, 30 days? How many days was it
So
to create a habit?
30 days.
Is it 30 or 15? To create a habit. If you can create it in 30, you can uncreate it, reverse it.
Definitely.
So all you got to do is change the habit, reverse it, create a new habit. And now that becomes the habit. You see what I'm saying? So what I tell folk is don't tell me that you can't, because I've seen a lot of women and men who can and have done it. You know, I can, I will, I must. That's kind of my mantra. I can, I will, and I must. There's nothing you can't do. Nothing you can't do. In all honesty, if you ask any millionaire out here, you ask the president, you ask Barack Obama, you can ask any one of these men and women. Did they not have adversity? Yes, they did. The difference between them and the people that don't succeed is simply they didn't persevere. They stopped somewhere. And even if it takes you 2 or 3 years, keep going. It's going to break somewhere. It has to break. It's what's that phrase? There's going to be a million no's and one yes.
And that one yes. Yeah. And that one
and once
yes
you get that one yes, it's done.
That's it. Yeah.
It's done. It's
Yeah, I
done.
love that. I love that. Whilst you were sharing your this amazing pivotal moment,
Hmm.
the an example came in my mind. I know I don't know how the right way to explain it is. It was an it's been shared in social media so much anyway. There's somebody in a college professor is with the students, and he takes a $20 bill, crumbs it all up, and it says first he says, "Who wants this $20 bill?" And half the class goes, "Yeah, I want it." And then he crumbs it all up. Do you still want who still wants the $20 bill? The class says, "Yes, I still want it." And he throws the $20 bill on the floor and then stamps on it and, makes it very dirty and everything. And then picks it up and says, "Who wants a $20 bill?" People still wanted it, right? And then he puts it in some oil and all that stuff. So very, very like dirty, and you might not want anymore. People still wanted that $20 bill because they know the value of that piece of
There you
paper.
go. There
The
you
value of
go.
the piece of paper, right? It
Yeah.
is still $20,
Still
even though it's
very
going through all
valuable.
those adversity.
Hmm.
It is still a $20 bill. You can still purchase what you want to purchase from it, right? It still has that
Yeah.
same value, and it still goes for us. We are still the same person. We still have the same future. We still have the
Exactly.
same ability. Nothing has changed for it.
No, it's your
Everybody
mindset that
still sees,
changed.
yeah,
Yeah.
everybody still sees us the way we're meant to be. It's us who need to show up and continue showing up, and that's what just came in my mind when you just
That's
shared that.
it. That is exactly it. I think a lot of times as we go through whatever the stress is, oh my God, my job, I can't make no money, I got to pay my bills. It's our mindset. And if we don't choose to change the mindset, we're going to remain in that space. You're questioning your abilities more than anybody else out here questions it. See, when we're going for job interviews, if we notice this and we put on our resume, don't we fix that thing up real nice? I
Definitely,
mean, it's the
100%.
truth.
Yeah,
We fix it up real nice.
yeah. A few
Some
white
people
lies in
fluff
there
it
as
up
well.
even a little more
Yeah,
than what it really is, right? So they
yeah.
look real good to these people. And then when you go in that room, you have to present yourself real good. And then you have to go in. I've heard of people who got into interviews, got a job that they may not even have been qualified for.
hmm
And
I
then
know
they
few
had
as
to
well.
show up. Yeah, and then they had to show up at the job and do the work, right?
Yeah.
Now, if they can do that, who are you to tell me you cannot go do anything you choose to do?
hmm
Because all they had to do was make sure they prepared for whenever the job was about to start, for them to be ready to get the job done. You're learning on the fly. We do that every day.
We do that
You learn
100%.
every single day. Everywhere you go, every day, and everything you're doing, there's a learning process somewhere. You don't stop learning. If you stop learning, something wrong with you. And the only other people who stop learning are the ones who are dead. Okay? You
That's
learn
it.
something new every single day. Good news or
Definitely.
bad, you're learning something. Didn't say it was going to be great all the time,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but you're learning something. So I tell folk, if you're going to tell me that you can't do something and you don't know, I mean, you got one of the biggest tools on the planet. It's called Google. Okay? If you want to figure it out, you can go search it. No, it's the truth. You can search it. Now, there is no way for us to say there is no information. That's just not
Agree 100%.
really.
It's
It
in the
doesn't
palm
make
of
no
your hand now.
sense.
It's in your
Exactly.
pockets now. It's in your pockets everywhere with
It's
you.
on your TV.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah. There you are.
it's on your TV. Your children know where to go. So
Yeah.
how is it that you don't? If you want to get that business started, and this is what I implore folk to do. You want to get the business started. You're looking to do all of these things. Yes, you can do that. You know, and that's more or less what I do. I encourage folk, listen to me. You want this thing? What do you want to do? I can help you figure some of this stuff out. The rest of it though, and it doesn't matter, to be honest with you. I can give anybody my programs. I can coach you to do whatever, but let me tell you something. If you don't come showing up to do the work, you are going to waste your money and my time.
hmm
And at the end of the day, not even just my time, your time. Time is the most important thing on the planet. If
100%.
people don't notice, we're at the end of the year and we just began. Time
Yeah.
is the most important thing on the planet. It's the most expensive thing on the planet.
100%. 100%.
You can't buy it
So
back. You can't even use your money to get it. It is just not something you can purchase.
once it's gone, isn't it? That's it. Yeah. It's
That's
a new
it.
day. Yeah. A new day, the new hour, So you have to do something new or continue learning. I mean, so I know you've got lots of things on your website that people can go and connect with and find what they are. Do you want to take us through some of the stuff that you are offering and how people can get in touch with you as well to do these things?
Well, the biggest thing that I'm doing now is, like I said, I'm an international best-selling author too. So right now I'm trying to help other people write their story, for the people who want to write their story. You know, an anthology is a great way to get into the game of being an author. Becoming a best-selling author is not an easy feat. So it allows people to become an international best-selling author just by association with me. So this book is going to be, I'm looking for 10 authors. It's actually on my website, www.sandrian, SandrianNelmoon.com. Sandrian Nelson-Moon is actually on my Instagram. And I'm looking for 10 women. We're going to talk, everybody gets a chapter. They talk about their own story, whatever they want to talk about. And it's mostly for women who have endured and gone through it. You know, they're trying to pour into somebody else. The book, we will have, you know, promotions done from PR, TV, radio, couple things for the books, kind of get them out there, get their feet wet, kind of, you know, show them the ropes with how they write a book, how to get it out there. So that's the #1 program that I have right now. Actually, I'm getting ready to do a interest call on the 23rd. Again, you can reach out to me on my Instagram there, and I'll send you the information. It should be on my website for that call. Then I do individual work with people. I edit books. I also have that's what we call the right to restoration. These are for the people like myself who've been through some stuff and they want to write about it, you know, write about whatever. Again, individually, that's a different kind of program. I do some mentoring and one-on-ones with people. You'll find that also on my website. And what else? Let me see. I do training people how to get their own media, radio, TV, podcasts, get on these platforms, talk about their, you know, whatever their brand is, whatever their products are, kind of expand themselves to growth. Billboards, all of that stuff. We just did I actually am in another anthology. We did that release in August 30th, and we actually became international bestsellers before the book's release.
Oh, wow.
So you can do a lot of things. I'm actually heading to London next June for another book release. We'll be doing that over there. What else? There's a bunch of stuff. I'm trying to think about. Oh yes, and I do have a children's book that's also a best-selling book, so I can teach people how to write children's books. Also, write and publish your children's books. Like I said, market your brand. I do that, and then there's one-on-one coaching if people want different things. So you can just go on my website. Has all of those things on there.
That's quite interesting as well. And the question comes around is, you know, how do you organize your day with so many things going on, you know, being a UN, you know, ambassador, author, and all this, right? So how do you balance your day? What's the key that's worked for you? Obviously, everybody is different, but what's working for you?
Time management is everything. Time management is everything. I mean, you can do. See, I heard Steve Harvey say something a while back, right? He says millionaires don't sleep. You know, we sleep, but I don't think I've had 8 hours of sleep in a long time. And I you know, I'm a wife and mom too, so I still do all of those things. Basically, when you build a brand or you build a business in such a way, it will become where you control your time. You build it so it works for you and not against you. You see what I'm saying? A lot of the stuff that I do I honestly just have to organize my times, my timelines. You take your days. I tell people also, if you're doing a million things, take some time for yourself. You got to refresh you. You
Yeah,
got to take
yeah.
care of you. Self-care is very important. But it's time management, basically. Preparation. You know how this goes. You
Yeah,
do this kind of stuff. You got to organize. There's apps now that can help you organize. You can create your Instagram posts a week ahead, 2 months ahead. There's all kinds
definitely.
of stuff. Yeah, you just got to find the tricks. There's tricks to the trade.
Yeah,
Um, but organize your time.
I love that
Um,
actually, that the way you
yeah,
share that is when organizing your time and time management. Because I mean, I think our podcast was booked way in advance in terms of August time, I believe, for today,
exactly. Yeah,
right?
well, how
Today is
long
what,
how long
18th,
ago did you
18th
send
of
me this?
October.
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
we were
this
doing this from what, August, September before we even, you
yeah,
know,
exactly. So we booked
I
this
have
about
things
around
booked
August time.
into I have things booked for next year already.
Yeah, yeah, same here
I
as
said to
well.
people, you're waiting for next year to book something for next year? I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
already
you're
have
already
things
booked.
booked. I was in a
Yeah,
meeting
yeah.
today about another big adventure with me and three other women who
Mm,
are, doing this kind of work and pushing into, you know, that's next year. None of that is this year. We've already had the conversations. We've already set the meetings up. We've already prepared
exactly,
ourselves.
exactly.
I've been on, I think, Kish Magazine, MBQ Magazine, Black and Published Magazine this year already. Every single thing I did was already planned months ahead of time. You don't wait for today. And if you want this thing to be done, you want to get it done, you got to get the work done. You can't sit around and go, oh, I can't do it. Yes, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know, there's some people out here like me. Integrity is big for me. That's something I had to learn in this game.
Hmm.
I've met people who have promised things that never showed up. I've
Oh,
met people
yeah.
who have said they're going to do something for you. You pay them all this money and nothing gets done. I've met that person.
Mm, yeah.
I've met more than one people in that game. I have a problem with that. So for me, integrity is everything, and for me, I want to be able to help people, truly help them figure this out,
Mm,
because it's possible to figure out. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
very possible to figure it out. And it's not that you can't do it. It's just that you lack the resources.
Mm.
You lack the resources, you lack the know-how. And for some people, in all honesty, they lack the commitment.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm with
You
you
know what I mean?
there.
You lack the
Yeah, yeah,
commitment, then you got a problem.
yeah,
You can't
yeah.
tell me you want to be an author, you want to write a book, and you got a problem with understanding a deadline.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
have a book deadline for December 5th. You already start working on it. Comeback, what is it? Comeback, Champion Comeback is up right now with Shay Brown and some of these big speakers. We already recorded and did all that work way before it's aired. It's airing today. You
Mm,
don't, People in this game learn the game. You don't wait for the day off to do this stuff. You do it ahead. We do things and we prepare. So it clears our time to do what we need to do. Speakers sometimes, unless they have to be in front of you, a lot of stuff we do what? We record. We do
yeah,
ahead. It has to be done that way because there's no way you can be in one place in 50
yeah.
places at one time. I fly out of here in the morning. I have to go to Dominion TV. I'm live on television tomorrow, and I come back tomorrow night. And I got to make sure my kids are off to school in the morning.
Wow.
Again,
Yeah.
it is time management. You don't,
Mm,
and planning. And this was planned. What, tomorrow's October 20th?
about
January or
19.
February
Yeah.
was when it was booked. The taping was booked from then.
Wow.
You don't, it's organization. People ask me,
Mm,
how do I do it? And, oh, yeah, you're preparing, getting to law, you start law school come spring. Yes, I am. And even with that, what I do in my business is built around, see, this is what the thing is. If you can build that business around your life,
mm,
it will feel like it's not work.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
You got to get to that place where your business and it's your passion in such a way that it's not work for you. It's what you love to do. And I love pouring into people because I know there's so many amazing people out here in this world that truly just want somebody to say, listen, I'm here, I hear you, and I've been where you are. And
Mm,
that's basically for me. Like I said, when I was left on the side of that street, I went
Yeah.
home to a family that asked me what was wrong with me. They didn't see it. Nobody heard me or believed or understood it because that was the culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I was sitting in that space continually, even now, in that space, looking at my abducted self as if, you know, that's all I was gonna be, then I would have only been that.
Mm.
I had to change up here. I had to change what I wanted for myself. You know, it's vital who do you choose to be in this life? You know that, you know what I'm saying? Who do
Yeah.
you choose to
Exactly.
be? What are you trying to accomplish? See, a lot of us, we go to school as kids, they ask you, oh, who do you want to be when you grow up? In all
That's
honesty, wait, in all honesty, when you said, who did you say you wanted to be? Are you that man now?
no.
Exactly.
Yeah. That
Exactly. Because most
I
of the
have a I
times
have a
life changes it.
yeah, I have a totally different views on that question as well. When that question gets asked to you when you're that young, when you're that young, your world is a little bit limited in terms of what you know, right?
Exactly.
You only
And
know
your
your
experience is
parents, your
limited too.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So what you only know is what you've seen on TV, for example, or what you've seen on books and what you've seen in front of you, right? So that's very
Hmm.
limited. And when you are asking that big question, what you want to be when you grow up, that's why you get those limited answers like, oh, fireman, doctor, whatever that they want to be, nurse and things like that. But I have a spin on that question. If you ask that young person or whatever,
Hmm.
instead of what you want to be when you grow up, instead of if you ask them, how would you like to solve what problem would you like to solve in the world when you
Exactly.
grow up?
Exactly.
You will open up so many things
A
because they already,
million.
yeah, they're already thinking of already all these things are going through their head. If you treat them like an individual that they are as a person rather than a child or a kid, ask them the
Hmm.
question saying, what problem would you like to solve when you grow up, and see what comes up.
You
I
know,
encourage anybody to ask that question.
the thing is this too, that I try to encourage people to do, especially minorities. One of the biggest things is we were never taught money management.
Yeah, yeah.
We were never taught financial education. I'm not
It's
talking
a
about your
tab,
math. Yeah,
it's a
I'm not
taboo
talking about your
subject in a
math
lot of
class.
places.
Exactly. I'm
Yeah.
not talking about your math class that you went to and where they teach you algebra or calculus. That ain't it. Are they telling you that owning a business, you pay way less taxes than you do working for somebody else? Or are
Mm-hmm.
they telling you that the best way to do your, 401k and all of that crap, they take a lot of money out your
No.
pocket. That ain't your
Mm.
money, it's their money. The best thing is infinite banking. Are they teaching you this? No, they're not teaching you this.
Mm-hmm.
That is, you know what infinite banking is? That's an insurance life policy that's paying you back.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the rich folk do. This is the
Yeah.
stuff that they need to tell you. They're not telling you that. Because the idea is to keep you working for them 24/7. It's not for
Well,
you to become independent and understand that, yes, we can get that, what you call it, back. What was that thing? Black Wall Street? Oh, yes, we can
that's
get it back.
it.
Yes, we can. Do they
Yeah,
tell you
yeah.
that the bank, when you put more money than you need to in the bank outside of just your expenses, they're just taking your money and lending out your money, and they're making money off your money? They're not
Yeah, they're
telling us
lending it
this.
back to you.
You're not getting it either.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
know,
exactly.
this is not being taught. And these are the
Mm.
things that we need. Let me tell you, I think as people that come into this country, yes, this place is a place of opportunity. Yes, you can do so many things here. And I think the biggest thing that I try to encourage my own children to do is understand the system. A lot of us live here, but we do not understand the system. We think going to work, coming home, living check to check, and we complain about that check to check. But then when stuff is happening and change need to be made, oh, I got to go to my job in the morning. I can't go here and, be present for this thing. I need to be at work because I got bills to pay.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that you shouldn't have a job or go to your job, but if you want to come out of it, if you're going, go with the intention to not be in that space for the rest of your life. That's what
Mm.
I'm saying. Go with
Yeah.
the intention to say, okay, you know what? Let me be smart. You're going to pay me this amount of money for my labor. Okay. Let me start subtracting what I can take out of this money, put to the side, put myself together, You heard about Ellie, that young lady who took
Oh yeah.
her money that she got from COVID time and
Yes,
made it
yes,
into
yes.
$1 million. She turned 1,500 into $1 million
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
space of a year. Being home.
Yeah. It's
We have too many
what, yeah,
resources today to make us money, and most of us sit home and
yeah.
go, "Oh, I'm just going to go to work tomorrow." So it's shifting your mindset. There's a possibility of you doing anything you want up in this place.
I
It's
love
just
that. I
getting
love
the
that.
information. It's
Yeah.
getting the information. But like I said, being willing to commit to the work. You can't
It's the
think,
commitment.
listen to me, you and I know this. You don't make no money unless you're planning on working to make that money. Warren
You need
Buffett can tell you, you got to do the work to get to the money.
you need discipline as well. You need a lot of discipline.
There you
Discipline.
go. There you go.
Discipline is needed. Yeah.
I call it tenacity. You got to get that tenacity.
Tenacity.
You got to build
yeah,
that tenacity.
Yeah.
I want this thing. It's going to work. And see, this is my thing. And I tell people, whatever God has rested on your heart for you to do, why are you waiting to do it? What are you thinking about? If it keeps coming back up, then he has already laid it on your heart. It's time for you to figure out how you're going to make the move. You know, there are times, even on YouTube now, I see so many things being advertised sometimes. Some of these people sometimes give away little nuggets. If you start collecting these nuggets, we need to educate ourselves outside of what we thought school was. There's books out here with all kinds of formulas and information. You know, read, educate yourself, and find out how to make it work.
Definitely. Which brings me to your I Can initiative. So let's quickly touch upon your I Can initiative, because we will be wrapping this up in a short while. Because throughout the episode, obviously, what I've been hearing is that you have the resources to do it. You have the opportunities to do it. We need the person to say, yes, I can, and then go ahead and do it, right? And so just take us through what's the initiative then?
The I Can initiative is simple. It's basically a person understanding they can do anything they want. You want to change your living circumstances. You want to go from whatever the possibilities or whatever the situation is that you're sitting in. It's the mindset shift. You see what I'm saying? It's a mind shift. Okay, I'm here. My dad used to always say to me, where I'm coming from is not who I am. I grew up in Kingston, Jamaica, in a place where it was rough. I watched people get cut. I watched police throw bodies into backs of trucks. I watched gunmen walk around and do what they do. And it's, if I told you that, if when you look at my photos, you see that, then you'll be lying to me. You can't tell me where I've come from. If I didn't tell you I was raped and molested and abused, and went through that trauma for years, or, that I wanted to die 5 different times, or if I don't sit here and say, look, I've seen death's door 5 times. The last time was sepsis infection. It almost killed me. I can't explain that to you. And then you ask me, how am I still doing what I do? Because I believe I'm going to do what I need to do. And I make no mistake or question about how I'm going to do it. I get up and I go find a solution. Stop looking for an answer and just find the solution. And the solution lies in the amount of work you're willing to do. What are you willing to dig up about what you want? Are you willing to go the extra mile for that thing that you want? That's the question at the end of the day. You see what I'm saying? What are you doing? See, we get up every day. We do. A lot of us, let's be honest here. A lot of us get up in the morning. First thing we do, what? We turn over and we check the cell phone. Right?
Yeah.
Some people don't even pray. They don't even say, God, I thank you for waking me up this morning. You know what I mean? Oh my God, God bless you. Nothing. Turn over, phone. Are you checking, what can I do today? Did you write down, this is what I'm doing today, a set plan of what's happening today towards the goal that you need to have? Some people don't even know what a vision board is because they've never made one. They don't see what, you got to be able to see what you want. You want that house that's sitting on a hill. You want Bill Gates account. You got to see that account and then keep going for the account. I heard Steve Harvey say something once, and he said, well, he went into the dealership, said, can I drive this car? Because I want this car. I want to feel what it feels like to sit in this car.
Test drive it.
And then he goes and works for that car. And then he keeps on working towards you know what happened to me? I literally sat down the other day and found a sheet of paper I had written so many things on. I think the only thing that's on there that's not completed yet is law school.
And you're on your way, I hear.
Exactly. Yeah. Law school is a process. However, I was like, oh, wait a minute, you did it. Okay. And I was real proud of myself, because when it's not that you can't do it, and it's not that you're not going to have some setbacks. Come on, now, life throws all kinds of things at you. But at the end of the day, every step you take in the direction of the things you want, you will start seeing it arrive in front of you. Let me tell you something. I've been on so many radio stations this year already. I don't even know how many. I can't even count. I never thought I would see there were so many just pouring into people. And I enjoyed doing that. But I looked up and go, how did you do this? You know how? Because the minute you step out, and I'm saying that to say this. The minute I stepped out and I started showing up and I started opening my mouth and I started being confident about what I was doing and, confident in my skills. I mean, I have my MBA. I have all the way to a doctorate. I've been in corporate. I worked for Frito-Lay and Pepsi for years. I was there in their finance department. So I'm using my skills. So a lot of you that's working for these people, use those skills for yourself. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. You start using the skills. You start saying what you say. Guess what happens? You'll be surprised. Somebody gonna say, wait a minute. I know this woman. She just spoke on here. I like her. Can I get her on my show? You see what I mean?
There you go.
How do we find each other? Exactly. So this is how you do it. You start building your face and you start building the brand behind your name. Mm-hmm. And you will see how it just starts to flow. But you gotta start. You don't start nothing, ain't nothing gonna come out. 0 from 0 is 0.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And you know what? Thank you very much, Sandrian, for sharing such an amazing journey. And there's been so many golden nuggets in this episode.
A whole bunch.
To take away. They can pretty much make a whole golden necklace out of that.
And I hope they wear it and wear it with pride.
Pieces of diamonds in there as well. Pieces of diamonds in there as well, which they can put in there and make it shine. The whole episode's been so inspiring. It's been amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank
people
you.
who've been watching this live with us now on Instagram, thank you for watching this. And if you've just recently joined, I recommend to rewind this episode. It will be left on IGTV for you to watch. So recommend watching that. And in a few months' time, this episode will also become a podcast version. So I'm not too sure when. It's usually in a couple of months' time. So probably in the next year, you will hear a podcast version of this as well. So for everybody who's been with us live, and whilst you were listening to us and you had a spark or a aha moment or a light bulb moment, whatever that was. So it's our duty now to actually share this episode with others, because if you had a spark moment is created by this episode, you don't know if it can create a similar spark or a better spark in somebody else. And we don't know who's just woken up or gone to bed, thinking of a better day. And all we need is this spark to get them started as well, to take that step. And so I'll recommend everybody to share this episode with whoever they can. I think a question has popped up. Okay. So they was asking, well, can you sum up what I've missed? I would recommend to watch the episode, because it's lots of golden nuggets. So recommend to go back onto it and watch it.
Pieces. I left y'all some pieces in there, but there. Yeah.
Final last thing, Sandrian, as I ask all the guest speakers that come on to Tuesday Talks, what would you like to say to everybody as we wrap this up? Something that you would like to leave them with, something inspirational?
Well, this is something that I've held close to me for years, and I keep it. You know, Nelson Mandela was an amazing man when he was alive. He's still an amazing man. The things that he endured, and you know, I always tell people, find somebody that you admire, and you can ask questions. If not, just watch how they carry themselves and how they live. You know, what they did, what they endured, and their why. You know, a lot of what I do is fueled by people and my love for people resurging from whatever it is that they've endured, because I've gone through it and I know what it is to be that victim and be feeling like it's horrible and I can't move, you know, to lose myself and then realize there's so much more left in me. You know what I mean? So he said something that I thought was so profound. He said, everything is impossible until it's done. And I tell people this all the time. This is why I say, it's not that you can't. It's that you're afraid. A lot of times, you know, a lot of times we're afraid of change. We're afraid that we can't accomplish something, but it's a mindset. And if you honestly want it, I always tell folk, if you really want something, we have seen people do things for something they want. You want to get to a party, you want to do whatever, you make the sacrifice necessary. So if you want to change your life and you want to create that thing, you want to be that person in this space, then you can be that person. And this is why I said it's not that I will never believe somebody can't do something. My phrase is, I can, I will, and I must do it. Not for anybody else, but for me. So those are my words that I'm leaving. It's always impossible until it's done.
I love that. I love that. It's amazing. Thank you very much, Sandrian, for
no, thank you guys for having me.
For your time as well. Anybody else who's been watching this today and or listening to this as a podcast version now, thank you very much, and we will see you again on next Tuesday with another amazing episode of another inspirational entrepreneur with their journey as well. Sandrian, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, my dear. I enjoyed this. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.